Now then, welcome to another video. So I've just watched a really interesting video from Alex at Storm of Steel, talking about Chain of Command. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you go and watch it. And if you're on the fence about Chain of Command and giving it a go, then I suggest just jump in and have a go at it. You can get the rules as a PDF, which is a bit cheaper, and just try it out. If you've got forces for bolt action, or any other World War II sort of 28mm or 15mm war game, then there's no harm in giving it a go, is there? And I agree with him, to be honest. It really is a great game. For those of you who don't know, I spent 25 years in the infantry. I left a couple of years ago, and this game it makes sense. Knowing what I know about small unit tactics and things like that, stuff that we would do, it hasn't changed that much, if I'm honest. You still have that fire manoeuvre, your sections are divided into different elements and all that sort of stuff, and it makes sense to me. And I know a few other veterans, if you like, who play the game, agree with me as well. So it's a really good game. So if you haven't watched Alex's video, go and have a look at it. He's very enthusiastic about it, as those of you who follow his channel will know. So I don't get to play this half as often as I'd like to, but what I wanted to do really was just show you what do you need to actually start playing. So obviously you need the rule book. It's got the full rules in here. You've got army lists and things like that as well, scenarios and all that sort of stuff. And as you can see, it's really nicely laid out. There's an index in the back, which is always welcome. A lot of other rules writers and publishers could learn a thing or two from the two fat laddies when it comes to how they put the rules together. And I think, as Alex said in his video, when you first start reading the rules and playing it, it's a little bit hard to get into. Well, not hard to get into, it's just different. The way you play the game is different to what maybe you're used to. So there's no I go, you go. It's very interactive, and nothing's certain. It's just something I really like about it. So even your movement and things, you've got to roll a dice, see how far your men move. No matter how much as a commander you'd like your men to move from point A to point B, sometimes things get in the way. Private Jones might have tripped up, so his mates have stopped to pick him up, given him a clap on the head and dragged him forward. All that kind of thing happens in real life, doesn't it? So, or they might have been delayed or whatever. You know, there's so many variables at play that it all just makes sense, is what I'm trying to say. So what do we need to play? So we need the rule book. Obviously, it goes without saying. You can either get that as a PDF or get the hard copy. And then you need an army list. So what I'm going to show you is my British Army, really, for 1941 in North Africa. So there's army lists in the book, they're for 1944, but there's loads more army lists, such as this one, that are online, free to download. So I've just downloaded it, obviously printed it off and laminated it, and on the back there you've got all the weapons, the special rules and stuff, everything you need to play your forces on this one kind of sheet, which is really useful. So you've got your army list. Next thing you need is a force morale tracker. So again, I downloaded these for free, just printed them off and laminated them. That's your little force morale tracker. And I think I was at Partisan, and Big Rich and the crew were all there, so I thought, why not, and got some proper Chain of Command dice. Now, you don't need these, you could just use different coloured dice if you like, but I was there and the dice were there. I thought, yeah, go on then, I'll have them. Only a £5 or something. And you get the 2 green ones and 2 grey ones as well for your opposition. So there's your Chain of Command dice that you need. What I've also printed out is something I always forget when I'm playing. Sometimes I have to look up. So I printed that out as well. It's just when you roll your command dice, this is what the rolls correspond to. So what you can activate. So I always have that on the side of the table as well to remind me. And there is a fast play sheet and things like that you can download as well. But they're the kind of basics of what you need. A couple of other things I've made myself. I've made a little tracker for my force morale. It's just a little MDF base. printed out a little desert rat symbol. Say you started at force morale of 10, it'd just go there, and as your force morale goes down, you can move it about the little board there. So made that. The next thing was some patrol markers. So Alex mentioned in his video that the patrol phase is almost like a little game within a game at the beginning of your first turn. So you move your patrol markers about, and then that gives you your jump off points. So it's not a linear sort of, you set up 12 inches in, your opponent sets up 12 inches in, and then you just charge at each other like an ancient battle, because battles in the modern era just aren't like that. You'd have men infiltrating forward in the darkness and popping out of buildings, and there's no linear front line, if you like. It's very porous. There's troops all over the place doing different things. So I think the patrol phase really represents that quite well. So I've made some anyway. So again, just MDF bases. Got the desert rats symbol on there. So you move these forward, and then when they get within 12 inches of an enemy patrol marker, I just flip them over. It just says locked. That's it, locked down, and it locks your enemies down as well. So I've made 4 of those. Like that. So there's my patrol markers, there's my force morale tracker, and my little command stuff, and everything pretty much needed to play. I've also made, that's my dog trying to get in the shed, I'll let her in a minute. I made some little counters, just for different types of movements. So you got tactical movement, broken units, got troops on overwatch, and troops that are pinned. These are just old MDF bases that I think they used to have 15mm World War II on. I picked them all off because I'm forever rebasing stuff because I'm a lunatic. So I try to keep my bases so I can use them for stuff like this. So I've made a big stack of those, one for each side, with all the different statuses on that we can use in the game. Last thing I want to show you with counters and bits and pieces is the actual jump off points. So again, these are just the same as, they're just bases, the same. I think these are 30mm ones. I'm going to make some better ones than this. I think little stacks of ammo and stuff like that. Maybe, but these work, don't they? So they're your jump off points, and they're what you set up from after you've done the patrol phase. I'm sure that if you watch any of the battle reports from Storm of Steel or Tabletop CP, another great channel who covers a lot of Chain of Command, this whole patrol phase and everything will make sense. There's no point in me trying to explain it, because I don't have the experience playing the game that these guys do. Although I really like the game, I want to play it more. I just haven't had enough games of it really to give it proper justice. But I'll show you my force and how to put a basic platoon together. Back in a minute. Okay then, so putting a force together, what we've got on the army list there, if you can read that, if he wants to focus on it, yeah, I think we're okay. So we have got the platoon headquarters to start with. So we've got a lieutenant, who's a senior leader with a pistol. So where is he? There he is. So there's me, lieutenant, senior leader with a pistol. I've named all mine as well from my own platoon back in B Company of 1 Yorks when I was there. So that's Lieutenant Bambrick. Yeah, that's my platoon commander. That's the boss. And then you have got a sergeant who's a senior leader with an SMG. So this is me. So I was Lieutenant Bambrick's platoon sergeant in B Company. That's me, Sergeant Kelly. There we go. So we've got the platoon commander, platoon sergeant. And then we've got the 3 sections. Sorry, no we haven't. We've got a 2-inch mortar team. So it says 2-inch mortar with 2 crew. So there we are. These are all Perry miniatures, by the way. So there's a 2-inch mortar with 2 crew. They're part of the sort of headquarters. But they're actually separate elements in the game. And then we've got a boys anti-tank rifle as well with 2 crew. So there we are. There's a boys anti-tank rifle. I think everything in this little force here is pretty much from one British 8th Army box set from Perry Miniatures, including these weapons and stuff. So there's a boys anti-tank rifle. And then we have 3 sections. Now the sections are broken down. So we have sections 1 to 3, corporal, junior leader with a Thompson SMG or a rifle. So the first section, let's go for Corporal Harley here. Corporal Harley was the next Green Howard. He was 1 section commander in my platoon back in the day. So there he is. Maybe it's his granddad. Who knows? There's Mike Howell. So he's 1 section commander. And what we have is the actual section itself. So we've got the LMG team, which is a Bren gun with 3 crew. So what we have then is a Bren gunner. And let me find the loader. There he is. A loader guy there. And another guy. So we've got three men. So we've got the LMG and 2 guys there. Sorry. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Yes. Yep, that's right. And then we have a rifle team of 6 riflemen. So then we have just another standard fire team there, which is the rifle group or rifle team. A couple of these are metal actually. So there's the rifle team. So that is 1 section. So you have the LMG group and the rifle group. And they're 2 separate manoeuvre elements in the game. You can activate them as a section or as fire teams, depending what you roll on your command dice. And then we have 3 of those sections. So I'll get those set up and we'll have a quick look. Okay then, so there is the full platoon. So we've got platoon commander, platoon sergeant, we've got the 2-inch mortar and the boys anti-tank rifle team, and then we've got 3 sections. Each section has a junior leader, so we've got Corporal Simpson there, and we've got Corporal Wilson over here. So 2 section, 3 section, and they're all organised the same. So you've got this LMG group and a rifle group in each. Now that is a basic starting point for a British platoon in North Africa, 1940 to 1941. And you can play a game with that just as it comes. And that's what we did a lot when we first started playing. We just used basic platoons and played like that. But what you can do, and what you probably should do, is add supporting assets to it. And we'll quickly go through the different types of supporting assets and how it works. Okay, so we worked out the force morale for the different forces. The British have ended up on a 9, Germans on a 10, which gives the Germans a +1. Okay, so they're a more elite force, they've got higher morale. Okay, but then to balance the force, what we have is, what that gives, when you're selecting your support is, because the British are the weaker force, they get a +1 level on their force support list. So you've got the different levels here. You've got level 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So depending on the scenario you're playing, you roll a dice and that determines how many support points you get. So depending what it is, let's say we end up with 4 support points for the game. Because the British are the weaker force, they get an extra level, so they can choose from list 5 as well. So they can choose any of those, but the Germans are restricted to list 4. I hope that kind of makes sense. Again, like I say, I'm not as experienced as probably I'd like to be playing this game. So any questions or anything, direct them to Alex. He'll be more than happy to answer. But yeah, that's what you end up with. So you end up with these different force selectors, if you like. So let's say the British then, they've got, they can choose up to 4 support points. Now they could choose 1 item from there, or they could choose 1 item from there, which would leave 1 left. That they could choose one of these, or they could choose 4 of those, or 2 of those, or any combination in between. Okay, so I'll just look at a couple of the different supporting assets that I've got available to my force. Obviously, it's going to depend what models you have. I'd like to have all these so I could choose, but I don't have them all. But I've got a few of them and we'll go through those now. So, first up then, what we've got on support list 1, we've got a medical orderly, engineer team, cutting team, demolition team, an adjutant, minefield, roadblock, barbed wire, car with no crew, but then you can crew it with you guys that you've got in your force, or entrenchments for one team. Now, the one thing I've definitely got in there is an adjutant. This is a Battlefront figure, not Battlefront, Warlord Games figure. I got him free when I got the bolt action book. So that's my adjutant. So I could use him. He cost me 1 support point. So from my 4, I've used 1, so I've got 3 left. Then looking at list 2, I've got another boys anti-tank rifle team, a 2-inch mortar team, or a pre-game barrage. List 3, I've got engineers, snipers. I've got a sniper team. Where is he? No, I haven't got a sniper team from him, but it's there for my Germans. Sorry. What have I got then? So, got Morris, a Morris armoured car, a Marmon Harrington Mark 1, Rolls Royce Universal Carrier with a team and a junior leader. Now that one on list 3 is Universal Carrier Reconnaissance Section. So you got Universal Carrier, single junior leader, 3-man crew, got a Bren, a boys anti-tank rifle, or a 2-inch mortar. So I've got that. So I've got my Bren carrier. I've got, where is he? Got the junior leader. I've got a Bren team. And the extra guy. So it's a little 4-man team. It's like a little recce section basically there. So there's another support point I could have. And what I'll do is I'll just go through the rest of them without going through the list because I'll just lose myself in it. What else I've got? I've got a Vickers that you could add in with 5 crew there. I have got a 2-pounder with 3, 4, 5 crew again. That one's led by a junior leader. I've got a medical orderly or a doctor. That's Major Anderson there. I've got a artillery spotter or a mortar spotter. I could use him. What I normally do, if I use the artillery spotter, I use the 3-inch mortar as well. I just put it on the side of the table. It plays no part in the game, but it just reminds me that I've got it. I pick that up for bolt action. And then, if I'd like to, if I'm playing slightly later in the war, I can swap out the 2-pounder for a 6-pounder there. But I don't normally use that. And then what I've got a couple of vehicles as well. So I've got a Marmon Harrington there. It's a Mark III, I think. There we go. Got a Marmon Harrington there. And I've got a Valentine tank as well that I can bring in. Vehicles don't play a massive part in the game. Every now and again it's nice to have a couple of vehicles on the table, but it's more of an infantry type of game. I hope that's not been too rambling and confusing, but basically what I'm trying to get at is the balance in the game. Although you start with these set forces, with the force morale difference and the support options, so a weaker force, say a conscript force, would have more support to balance the game out slightly. No games are ever balanced, even though some of them claim to be, even tournament games. This makes no attempt to be completely balanced. It's a historical game, and you've got to use what you've got. You're not always guaranteed to get exactly what you want, but you've got to use the forces at your disposal to complete your objectives, as in real life, which I quite like. So there's a basic force really. Not much else to be said about it. So that's my Brits. You get your 3 sections. You get your core of your forces, your platoon, and then you've got these little supporting assets that you can add depending on the scenario. And what it recommends in the book, which is probably a good idea, is you take your core force, and then just before the game starts, that's when you roll the dice and everything for your force morale. And that's when once you know what mission you're doing, that's when you pick your support for it. So as in real life, you wouldn't attack through a minefield without having some attached engineers, would you? Unless you really had to. But then you probably just wouldn't. You get some engineer support up forward and to help clear it. That sort of thing. So it makes sense to, you know what your mission is, you know what your objective is, you get the forces, or try to get the forces that you need. So you'll put in requests, say, right, my platoon needs some engineers for this job. You go and speak to your company commander, and then he asks for battalion commander, and you try and rustle up some engineers from somewhere. That kind of thing. Hope that makes sense. I hope I'm not rambling too much, but I really do like the game. It'd be great to play more of it. And there's a few extra books and things and expansions to the game, which I'll really quickly show you now. So the expansion that I've got is called Sharp End. This is a PDF that I've sent away to Docs Direct, got printed out. And it's basically a campaign generator or a campaign tracker. So you name all your characters or your leaders, as I've done, and then you kind of track their history and their sort of progress throughout a series of battles. And there's various ways of doing it in the book. So you can do like a little campaign like that, mission 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So different missions that you can do, or you can try and find an old historical map and mark it on there. Or you can do like a traditional ladder campaign. And each force, you know, has different character generations. It does actually play a part in the game. So British officers have got one, and you got British NCOs. It just adds that little bit more character and interest to the game. And it's well worth looking at. So that will do me. I'll stop gushing now about Chain of Command. It is one of my favourite war games, probably my favourite World War II war game these days. I used to really like Battle Group, and I still do, to be fair, but there's so many different World War II games on the market, like Rapid Fire, which I enjoy as well. But Chain of Command is just great. What a cool game. So well done to the two fat laddies. And again, if you haven't already, I'm sure you all know about Alex at Storm Steel, but go and check him out. And Travis over at Tabletop CP as well. Both of them do some great battle reports and some great they've got more knowledge than me about Chain of Command. Okay, so thanks very much for watching. Sorry for rambling on. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye. And just one last thing,